Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and as always, I'm very happy to have you here with us today. Whether you are listening at home, on your way to work, or while studying English, thank you for spending your time with us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, and I'm excited to join you for another helpful and interesting English learning episode. Today, we are going to talk about something that many English learners worry about: English tenses.
That's right, Julia. Many people believe they must learn all 12 English tenses before they can speak English confidently. Because of this, they often feel confused, overwhelmed, and afraid of making mistakes.
But here is the good news. You do not need to master all 12 tenses to have everyday conversations in English. In fact, you only need 5 important tenses to communicate clearly and confidently in most situations.
Exactly! In today's episode, we will show you what those 5 tenses are, how to use them in real life, and why focusing on these tenses can help you speak English more naturally and confidently.
So, stay with us until the end because this episode could completely change the way you learn English grammar.
Let's get started. Before we talk about the 5 tenses you really need, let's first discuss a problem that many English learners face. Julia, have you noticed that a lot of students become stressed when they start learning English grammar?
Oh, absolutely, Jason. In fact, one of the biggest reasons learners feel frustrated is because they think they must learn all 12 English tenses at the same time. They open a grammar book, see page after page of different tense rules, and suddenly English starts to look very complicated.
That's true. Many learners see names like present perfect continuous, past perfect, future perfect continuous, and many others. When they see so many rules, formulas, and exceptions, they start thinking, how will I ever remember all of this?
Exactly. And because they are trying to learn everything at once, they often become confused. Sometimes they spend hours memorizing grammar rules, but when they have a real conversation, they still feel nervous and don't know what to say.
Another common problem is that learners become afraid of making mistakes. Before speaking, they think too much about grammar. They ask themselves questions like, am I using the correct tense? Or, what if I make a mistake? As a result, they speak very slowly or avoid speaking completely.
And the interesting thing is that this fear actually slows down their progress. Instead of focusing on communication, they focus on being perfect. But language learning is not about perfection. Language learning is about expressing your ideas and connecting with other people.
That's such an important point, Julia. The truth is that even many native English speakers do not spend their time thinking about grammar rules when they speak. They simply communicate naturally.
Exactly. And here's something that surprises many learners. In everyday conversations, people use only a small number of tenses most of the time. Whether you are talking about your daily routine, your plans, your experiences, or something happening right now, you often use the same few tenses again and again.
So if you are listening today and feeling overwhelmed by grammar, don't worry. You do not need to master every tense before you start speaking English. You do not need perfect grammar to have a conversation. What you need is confidence, regular practice, and a focus on the most useful tenses.
That's right. Instead of trying to learn all 12 tenses at once, it is much smarter to focus on the few tenses that people use every day. Once you become comfortable with those tenses, speaking English becomes much easier and much more enjoyable.
And that brings us to the good news. In the next part of this episode, we're going to show you the 5 essential tenses that can help you handle most daily English conversations with confidence. Now that we understand why so many learners feel confused about tenses, let's talk about something encouraging. The truth is that you do not need to learn every grammar rule to become a confident English speaker. In fact, most daily conversations can be handled with just a few important tenses.
That's right, Jason. Think about your everyday life. What do you usually talk about? You talk about your daily routine, what you are doing right now, what happened yesterday, what you plan to do tomorrow, and the experiences you have had in your life. And guess what? The 5 tenses we are going to discuss today can help you talk about all of these situations.
Exactly! For example, when you talk about your habits and routines, you use one tense. When you describe something happening at this moment, you use another. When you tell a story about the past, discuss future plans, or share your life experiences, you use the remaining tenses.
This means that by mastering these 5 tenses, you can participate in most everyday English conversations. You can introduce yourself, talk with friends, speak with coworkers, answer questions, tell stories, and express your thoughts clearly and naturally.
And the best part is that learning 5 useful tenses is much easier than trying to learn all 12 tenses at once. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you can focus your energy on practicing the tenses that you will actually use every day.
So remember, confidence comes from using what is important, not from memorizing everything. These 5 tenses give you a strong foundation for real-life communication, and they can help you start speaking English with much greater confidence.
Now, let's explore these 5 essential tenses one by one and see how they can make your English conversations easier and more effective. All right, everyone. Now let's get to the most important part of today's episode. The 5 essential tenses that can help you speak English confidently in most daily situations. Don't worry, we're going to keep everything simple and practical.
That's right. Remember, our goal is not to become grammar experts today. Our goal is to learn the tenses that people use most often in real conversations.
Let's start with tense number 1, the simple present tense. This tense is used to talk about daily routines, habits, facts, and things that happen regularly. For example, you can say, I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, or she drinks coffee every day. If you want to talk about your everyday life, this tense is your best friend.
Exactly. Now let's move to tense number 2, the present continuous tense. We use this tense to talk about actions happening right now. For example, I am listening to a podcast, or we are learning English together. This tense helps you describe what is happening at the moment.
Great. Next is tense number 3, the simple past tense. We use it to talk about actions that happened and finished in the past. For example, I watched a movie yesterday, or she visited her friend last week. Whenever you tell a story about yesterday, last week, or last year, you will often use the simple past.
Now let's look at tense number 4, the simple future tense. This tense helps us talk about future plans, intentions, and predictions. For example, I will study English tonight, or we will meet our friends tomorrow. It's a very useful tense because people often talk about their future plans.
And finally, we have tense number 5, the present perfect tense. This tense is used to talk about experiences or actions that connect the past with the present. For example, I have visited Kabul, or she has learned English for several years. This tense is very common when talking about life experiences and achievements.
So let's quickly review. The 5 tenses are simple present, present continuous, simple past, simple future, and present perfect. Together, these tenses help you talk about your daily life, the present moment, the past, the future, and your experiences.
And that's exactly why these 5 tenses are so powerful. If you practice them regularly and use them in real conversations, you'll be able to communicate clearly and confidently in most everyday situations. Julia, let's show our listeners how these 5 tenses work together in a real conversation.
Great idea, Jason! Real conversations are the best way to see how useful these tenses are.
So, Julia, what do you usually do in the morning?
I usually wake up at 6 o'clock, exercise for 30 minutes, and then have breakfast before starting my work. How about you?
I usually read a book and drink a cup of coffee before I begin my day. By the way, what are you doing right now?
Right now, I am recording this podcast with you and helping our listeners improve their English skills. What about you?
I am doing the same, and I am really enjoying this conversation. So, what did you do yesterday?
Yesterday, I visited a friend, watched a movie, and spent some time practicing English. It was a very productive day. What did you do?
I finished some work, went for a walk, and listened to an interesting podcast. Now, what will you do tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I will study English for an hour, complete some important tasks, and call my family. What about your plans?
I will prepare for our next podcast episode and spend some time reading. One more question. Have you ever spoken English with people from other countries?
Yes, I have. I have talked with English learners from different parts of the world, and it has helped me improve my confidence. How about you?
I have had many conversations with English learners, and I have learned that regular practice is the key to success.
And listeners, did you notice something? In just one short conversation, we used all 5 important tenses naturally.
Exactly. This shows that these 5 tenses are more than enough for most everyday English conversations. If you practice them regularly, you will be able to express yourself clearly and confidently. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that English learners make when using tenses. Understanding these mistakes can help you avoid them and improve your English much faster.
That's right, Jason. The first mistake is trying to learn all 12 tenses at the same time. Many learners believe they must memorize every grammar rule before they start speaking. This often leads to confusion and frustration. Instead, focus on mastering the most useful tenses first and gradually learn the others later.
Another common mistake is thinking too much about grammar while speaking. Some learners stop in the middle of a sentence because they are worried about using the wrong tense. Remember, communication is more important than perfection. It's better to speak and make small mistakes than to stay silent.
The third mistake is not practicing tenses in real conversations. Reading grammar rules is helpful, but grammar becomes useful only when you actually use it. Try making your own sentences and use these tenses when talking with friends, classmates, or even by yourself.
One more mistake is using very complicated sentences too early. Many learners want to sound advanced, but simple and correct sentences are much more effective than complicated sentences with lots of mistakes.
Exactly. So remember, focus on the 5 essential tenses, practice them regularly, don't be afraid of mistakes, and keep your sentences simple and clear.
If you follow these tips, you'll build confidence, improve your speaking skills, and make much faster progress in your English learning journey. Before we finish today's lesson, I want to share an important message with all of our listeners. If you sometimes feel nervous, frustrated, or discouraged while learning English, remember that every fluent English speaker was once a beginner. No one starts speaking perfectly on the first day.
That's absolutely true, Jason. Many learners think they need perfect grammar before they can speak confidently, but that's simply not true. Confidence does not come from knowing every grammar rule. Confidence comes from practicing regularly, making mistakes, learning from them, and continuing to speak even when you feel unsure.
Exactly. Every time you speak English, you are improving. Every sentence you say is a step forward. Even if you make mistakes, you are gaining valuable experience. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are learning and growing.
And remember, you do not need to master all 12 tenses right now. If you focus on the 5 tenses we discussed today and use them consistently in your daily conversations, you will be able to communicate much more effectively than you might think.
So believe in yourself, be patient with your progress, and keep practicing a little every day. Small efforts repeated consistently can create amazing results over time.
Your English does not have to be perfect. It just needs to be understood. Keep speaking, keep learning, and keep moving forward.
You've got this, and we believe in your ability to become a confident English speaker. As we come to the end of today's episode, let's quickly review what we learned. We discovered that you do not need to master all 12 English tenses to speak confidently. Instead, you can focus on the 5 most useful tenses that are used in everyday conversations.
That's right. Those 5 essential tenses are the simple present, which helps you talk about daily routines and habits. The present continuous, which helps you describe actions happening right now. The simple past, which helps you talk about completed actions in the past. The simple future, which helps you discuss future plans. And the present perfect, which helps you share experiences and achievements.
If you practice these 5 tenses regularly, you'll be able to handle most daily English conversations with much more confidence and ease. Remember, fluency is not about using complicated grammar. It's about communicating your ideas clearly and naturally.
Our final advice is simple. Practice a little every day. Use these tenses in real conversations. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, and focus on progress rather than perfection.
Keep your sentences simple. Keep speaking whenever you get the chance, and trust the learning process. With consistent practice, your confidence and fluency will grow day by day.
And most importantly, enjoy the journey of learning English. Every small step you take today brings you closer to your goal of becoming a confident English speaker.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the English Learning Podcast. We hope you learned something valuable and now feel more confident about using these 5 essential English tenses in your daily conversations.
That's right. Now it's your turn to practice. Try using these tenses today when you speak, write, or think in English. The more you use them, the more natural they will become.
If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and share it with your friends who are learning English.
And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our future English learning podcasts.
Thanks again for listening. Keep practicing, keep improving, and keep believing in yourself.
Take care, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next episode.